be fair, creator Greg Daniels' mind isn't entirely responsible for Season 3's terrifying visions of what society's personal and professional spaces could be amid the rapid expansion of tech and digital life. Much of the responsibility for this bleak-looking future, the secret upload call center, temporary temp agency, and reduced circumstance housing where Nathan, Robbie Amell, and Andy Allo, come to stay with his mom, Jessica Tuck. In episodes 3 and 4 were based on real concepts and places tied to homes and offices. Director Tom Marshall says he pulled from the very real world of this time, including Hong Kong's Coffin houses for episode 3's housing design. According to The Guardian, one such version was just 500 square feet featuring up to 30 residents, cut up with plywood bunk beds that each have their own sliding door. Others, according to a 2017 photo essay in The Atlantic, don't even leave enough room for residents to stretch out their legs. It was, depressingly, sort of easy to get lots of references for those types of places, Marshall says. There was also something that production showed me which was actually for students. It was a shared living accommodation, but the big thing that stuck out was that there were no windows on this building. It was designed just to get as many people in and maximize space for as little money as possible. Marshall is speaking to both existing student housing at the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor and planned housing for the University of California, Santa Barbara. Both are receiving substantial seed funding from Charles Munger, Warren Buffett's business partner. The student housing at UC Santa Barbara has already seen one architect resign as a consultant on the school's design review committee for the dorm, which the New York Times reports would house over 4,500 students crammed into a 1.7 million square foot, 11-story building and make the vast majority of them live in small rooms without windows, where they'd rely mostly on artificial light and mechanical ventilation when it came time to actually build it. All the dorms were windowless, and Munger was like, "This is the most efficient footprint," says Rachel O'Toole, upload production designer, of Munger's vision. When creating Upload's version, she considered the way cost-effectiveness already drove the existing real-world design alongside the kind of building material that would be used 15 years in the future, when we're going to have an abundance of plastic that we've thrown away. Imagining a future university student would figure out how to add a binder or resin to that plastic, and that a contractor would try to add a little color, O'Toole came up with the idea for a gray-pink plastic sludge, which could then be molded or 3D printed. It's 4 or 5 different Lego pieces that modularly come together, and you would stack it like Minecraft and build this entire structure with no windows, she explains. The interiors are a floor with a bathroom, kitchen, workspace, and just the same 6x6 space, and only 6 feet tall because that's efficient. It came out like a porta-potty in my mind, the way one is molded, she continues, laughing. In hindsight, it actually looks like a really cheap version of Barbieland because things are naturally scaled down to reduce the footprint of materials. O'Toole says part of the approach to the housing's construction was about allowing Marshall, who had a claustrophobic shooting experience with the camera right on top of the actors, the ability to capture the human stories alongside the bleaker societal realities faced by more than this society's destitute. We've got this top shot that goes across the units, and you got to paint these little vignettes of all these different lives going on, right on top of each other, he says. The big point about it was, if you look out for it, in those shared living places, we've got people who are professionals, people with their laptop open, spreadsheets on the wall. They're wearing no pants, but wearing a shirt and tie so that they can jump on a Zoom and make it look like they're in the office. He continued, that was something me and the production designer talked about a lot. We wanted to give the impression that this is everyone. Everyone's in the same boat in the future, and everyone could end up in one of these grim, depressing places. A similar spacing approach was applied to the temp agency, which O'Toole says was initially scouted with a more open location in mind. But when the team landed in an abandoned office with private conversation cubicles, the plans changed. Greg loves tiny spaces, and we walked into this one office location that had been gutted out of because of the pandemic. Everyone was working from home. All that was left of the people were their computer towers sitting on these desks.